amidst this growth is both a blessing and curse. Transportation, the lifeline for connectivity and commerce. Transportation, the largest emitter of carbon. Did you know that majority of the vehicles in Lagos are over 15 years old, relying on outdated emission technologies and fuel with sulfur levels 200 times higher than US standards for diesel? This is a leading cause for pollution, singularly contributing 61% of annual carbon emissions in Nigeria. Air pollution that impacts everyday lives and the economy. In 2018, air pollution caused around 11,200 deaths in Lagos alone. The city lost approximately $2.1 billion due to illnesses and premature deaths caused by ambient air pollution. By 2100, it's anticipated that Lagos will become the world's most populous city, housing a staggering 100 million residents. This population surge will inevitably lead to an increase in the number of vehicles on our roads, resulting in a subsequent rise in emissions. Against this backdrop is a clarion call to start building today a transportation solution to meet our future needs. Oando Clean Energy has partnered with Lagos State via Lamata to lead the sustainable transport agenda in Lagos. Partnering with Lagos State as she makes another giant stride in her expansion of the city's mass transit system.
Someone to lead us.
What's going on now? What's going on?
To attend to anybody for medical emergency. That is that. Lastly, as we are launching EV vehicles, I want that it is a collective responsibility of everyone that safety is an integral part of what we are doing today. Thank you for coming to again. Welcome.
Thank you very much. May I now formally invite Kyria to please step forward as we rise for the national anthem.
to be the nation where peace and justice shall reign. May I have your seat?
Thank you very much. Can we please give her a round of applause? The governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, ably represented by the Honorable Commissioner for Transportation, Dr. Frederick Oladeinde, the representative of the Chinese government, the Commercial Council, Mr. Huo Penhua, the Honorable Commissioner for Energy and Mineral Resources, Engineer Olalere Odushote, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources, Mrs. Sholabumi Shashore, the President, Chief Executive Officer, Oando Clean Energy Limited, Dr. Ainoje Alex Irune, the Managing Director, Lamata, Engineer Mrs. Abimbola Akinjo, the Managing Director, Lagos State Bus Services Limited, Mr. Idowu Oguntono, the Executive Vice President, Oando Clean Energy Limited, Ademola Ogunbajo, the Chief Financial Officer, Akimbode Bangboye, the Senior Vice President, Corporate Services, Alero Balogun, the Tech Project Lead, Yemi Adebajo, Tech Project Lead, Temitokbe Edrun, and Tech Officer, Directors in Lamata, and other top management staff of Oando Clean Energy Limited, the Chairman of Oando PLC, and the custodian of our culture and tradition, the paramount ruler of Egbaland, the Alake of Egbaland, His Royal Majesty, Oba Michael Gbadebo, a retired permanent secretary in the Lagos State Ministry of Transportation, Dr. Taiwo Salam, all other invited guests, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I say good morning to every one of you all. My name is Kunle Adeshino. I welcome you to what I call a gathering where the passport is about entrance to a greener Lagos. We all know that the predominant color of Nigeria is green and our international passport is green. But the distinguishing factor between the Nigerian passport and this passport here today is that this passport is a gateway to a greener Lagos and a sustainable environment, which will ensure that we not only live long, but we live well. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, this is a collaboration between Oando Clean Energy Limited and Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority, Lamata. It is about ensuring that we reduce the amount of emission that goes into the atmosphere. This is another first in the Nigerian Federation. Can we please jointly applaud Oando Clean Energy and the Lagos State government? For some, we might say the statistics looks very grim, but I can assure you that a single step is the beginning of 1,000,000 miles. If we have 2 new electronic vehicles that are here as the first step, I can assure you that in a number of months, many hundreds of these buses will be deployed on the Lagos roads, and Lagos become a benchmark for good governance, as it has always been. What governor led Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu has always demonstrated government must always act as an enabler. It is not government's business but as an enabler will provide the conducive atmosphere to allow the private sector to run it. That is why it is not a surprise that today we have successfully collaborated with the Oando Clean Energy Limited to signpost the commencement of introduction of electronic vehicles on Lagos roads. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, with your kind permission, sir, I will invite a lady that I've always described as someone who is not only energetic, she's very hardworking, and she's someone who has proved her mettle in the transportation sector. Talk about multimodal transportation. She has proved her mettle. Lagos today boasts a two-line rail project, which is electronically run, and in a couple of weeks, the red line project for rail will also come on stream. Please put your hands together as I invite Mrs. Engineer Abimbola Akiajo, the Managing Director of Lamata, for her welcome address.
Shouldn't fall down. Good morning. I'm going to stand on the excellently well established protocol. But as a Yoruba girl, I must acknowledge my royal father, Kabiesio. Mr. Governor, ably represented by my Commissioner for Transportation. So, we're here for what I say is a major aspect in the vision for transportation in Lagos. Lagos is desirous of having clean energy to run its transport system. And I will start by saying I am highly delighted to welcome you to this auspicious ceremony for the launch of the proof of concept phase of the use of EV for mass public transport in Lagos State. This event is a proof of our desire to involve the private sector in our activities to give the average Lagosian the ability to meet their mobility needs. Lamata has elected to be a multi-fueled transport regulatory agency of the Lagos State government. Hence the partnership with Oando Clean Energy Limited for the use of EV buses in passenger operations. From Lamata's perspective, we're open to doing business with the private sector. And I think that's what we're proving this morning by aligning with, or by ensuring that Oando can align with the vision of Lagos State. I am elated that in about just over a year, Oando came to us from the Ministry of Energy to talk about the possibility of working with us in the deployment of electric buses. And over a year ago, we signed a Memorandum of Understanding with Oando. And one of the things that we asked at the time was that we would have to implement a proof of concept stage that would allow us to have physical presence of the electric buses in our ecosystem, i.e., let us run it within our transport system. And this was asked because at Lamata, we had actually carried out a feasibility study with the World Bank on the use of electric buses. So this would be the practical implementation of that study that we had implemented. Now, so from that perspective, we're looking at this and saying, and hoping and trusting that in the next 3 months, when we will be carrying out this proof of concept alongside Oando, and it is to say that Oando is not a transport operating organization. Just to clarify, they have brought the buses and they will be operated by 2 operators that already work with Lamata. So the vision is that it will be put within our system. And so we're hoping and trusting that in the next 3 months, we will be able to gather adequate data and other information that is required for us to move to the next stage within the MOU system that we have signed up to. By this partnership, we just want the world to know that Lagos is ready to do business with everybody, provided the interests of Lagosians are well protected. Once again, I say welcome and thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mark. Can we please appreciate the MD of Lamata once more? Mr. Governor, sir, all other courtesies duly aired. Let me reiterate that this partnership is between Oando Clean Energy Limited and Lamata, which is representing the Lagos State government. Next on the program lineup, with your kind permission, sir, I will now invite Miss Eva Johnson for the spoken word.
Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor and a pleasure to be with you today. I'm here in answer to your ears. I am the ink, I am the voice, Miss Eva Johnson. Eko akete ilu ogbon. Eko akete ilu ogbon. Cradle of Lagos, land of wisdom. Have you heard what is being said? Echo is echo. You have come to the right terminal. This is the first boarding. No need to queue. You have a first-class seat with the future in view. I'm sure you have seen the signs that echo is echo. Oremi, Joko Timi, there is room for all of us on this journey. With innovation, our chauffeur, hop on, strap in, plant your feet firm, let your back sink into the seat, and your eyes wander to the spectacle outside your window. Recyclable, renewable, sustainable. Echo is echo. Echo puts the state in state of the art, exploring new ways to grow cleaner, leaner, greener. With electric energy, our enabler on this expressway to the cutting edge, we lead the race. Those are the brakes. Hands off the wheel, you may now disembark. We have arrived, but you will hear the echo for eons. Echo is echo. Energy efficient. Echo is echo. Climate conscious. Echo is echo. Optimistic, original, outstanding. Echo is echo. Thank you.
Very much. Next, with your kind permission, sir, we'll take one of the two short documentaries that we have. One is from Oando Clean Energy Limited, and the other one is from Lamata. Which one is ready?
Lagos, Nigeria. a bustling metropolis of vibrant colors, energy, ambition, and the dreams of 20 million. The heartbeat of Nigeria and the commercial powerhouse Lagos, of West Nigeria. A bustling metropolis of vibrant colors, energy, ambition, and the dreams of 20 million. The heartbeat of Nigeria and the commercial powerhouse of West Africa. Over the past 2 decades, this vibrant city has witnessed a remarkable transformation, with its population skyrocketing from 200,000 residents to over 20 million. Amidst this growth is both a blessing and curse. Transportation, the lifeline for connectivity and commerce. Transportation, the largest emitter of carbon. Did you know that majority of the vehicles in Lagos are over 15 years old, relying on outdated emission technologies and fuel with sulfur levels 200 times higher than US standards for diesel? This is a leading cause for pollution, singularly contributing 61% of annual carbon emissions in Nigeria. Air pollution that impacts everyday lives and the economy. In 2018, air pollution caused around 11,200 deaths in Lagos alone. The city lost approximately $2.1 billion due to illnesses and premature deaths caused by ambient air pollution. By 2100, it's anticipated that Lagos will become the world's most populous city, housing a staggering 100 million residents. This population surge will ease. Against this backdrop is a clarion call to start building today a sustainable transport agenda in Lagos. Partnering with Lagos State as she makes another giant stride in her expansion of the city's mass transit system. Introducing Nigeria's first ever electric mass transit buses. These state-of-the-art vehicles are set to transform our city, providing a sustainable and clean mode of transportation. The 40-seater electric buses have been manufactured by Yutong, the world's largest electric bus manufacturers. Powered by electricity, they produce zero emissions, eliminating the harmful pollutants that have plagued our city for far too long. Spacious interiors, air conditioning, and Wi-Fi. Welcome to the commuting of the future. With a single charge, these electric buses can travel up to 280 kilometers, the equivalent of driving from Ajah to Ibadan and back. Each bus has a regenerative braking system that converts kinetic energy into electrical energy stored in the battery, making the battery last longer and reducing maintenance costs. Our strategic ambition is to have a fleet of 12,000 electric mass transit buses across the nation over the next 5 years, employing 5,000 people. Through partnerships, we aim to develop Nigeria's first mass transit electric bus assembly plant as well as service centers, with international partners who will transfer knowledge, thus empowering Nigerians and enabling future employment. The introduction of Nigeria's first electric mass transit buses is a significant step towards achieving Nigeria's ambition of becoming a net zero carbon emitter by 2060. With roots that date back to the 50s, we have always been invested in developing energy solutions that move the nation forward. With a history of pioneering initiatives across the full energy value chain, OCEL is a natural trajectory in our journey to create impact that will outlive us. Our vision: to build Africa's largest integrated energy company. Our mission: to meet Africa's energy demands through sustainable sources. Welcome to a new chapter for Lagos, a green Lagos, a Lagos where the air is cleaner, a Lagos that sets an example for other states and countries to follow, showcasing how a megacity can prioritize sustainability without compromising progress. This is the Lagos we envision, and with your support,
Thank you very much.
turn this vision.
About powering mobility and empowering Nigeria through Lagos, the center of excellence and the city of aquatic splendor. Mr. Governor, sir, all other courtesies duly extended. With your kind permission, I will now invite His Excellency, the Commercial Consul of the Chinese People's Republic in Nigeria, Mr. Huo Penhua, to please step forward and read the short remark of the Chinese government.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Guo Pengwen. I'm from the Commercial Office of Chinese Consulate General in Lagos. I'm very delighted to attend this ceremony today and to express congratulations. At this opportunity, I would like to share with you some points in terms of the public transportation and clean energy. Firstly, it is necessary for Lagos to build clean energy public transportation system. Beijing, as the capital of China, has a population of 20 million. And the government has been limiting the number of cars and sparing no effort to develop public transportation. By 2022, the subway and the light rail mileage has reached 700 kilometers with 23 lines and 400 stations. There are 25,000 buses running on 1,500 routes. And 90% of the buses are using clean energy. Lagos also has a population of 20 million. And the traffic congestion is a major problem. We are suffering from the time losses and air pollution every day. The Lagos government is determined to develop efficient and clean energy public transportation, which is a very strategic and wise move. The Lagos government has built the light rail blue line and is constructing the red line. With the number of electric buses increasing, the bus routes planning scientifically, more and more people will choose the comfortable, low carbon and environmental, convenient and faster public transportation. And the traffic jam will be solved. Secondly, China is trying to upgrade its industry through the use of clean energy. On the one hand, we reduce the use of traditional fossil fuels such as oil and coal. On the other hand, we increase the use of natural gas, solar energy, hydropower, nuclear power, wind power. Chinese government promises that carbon dioxide emissions will reach the peak by 2030 and achieve the carbon neutrality by 2060 to fight climate change. We encourage residents to purchase electric vehicles and raise the emission standards of fuel vehicles. We inspire enterprises to research and develop new technology to increase the battery efficiency and reduce the costs. We are willing to cooperate with other countries like Nigeria to promote the application of electric vehicles. Thirdly, I would like to recommend Yutong to the government and people of Lagos, because the company is a leading clean energy bus manufacturer in China. I have visited this company, Yutong, several years ago. They have many large factories, modern assembly lines, experienced research teams, advanced design concept, various buses and coaches, which impressed me a lot. In China, many cities have chosen Yutong bus for public transit. Yutong buses have been exported to more than 100 countries with 80,000 vehicles, accounting 50% of the global bus share. As a commercial counsel, I'm willing to recommend Yutong buses to serve the people of Lagos. And I hope more and more Yutong electric buses running on the road of Lagos. Both Nigeria and China are great countries. Let's work together and walk to the bright future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we please appreciate him once more? Mr. Governor, sir, all other courtesies duly extended. Let me also recognize the Managing Director of Primero Transport Services Limited, Mr. Fola Tinubu. Thanks for coming. We also have in our midst the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Transportation, Engineer Abdulafiz Toriola. He's been ably represented by Engineer Olasunkomi Ojowuro. You are very much welcome, sir. Mr. Governor, sir, ably represented, all other courtesies duly extended. Next, I will invite the Honorable Commissioner for Energy and Mineral Resources, Engineer Olalere Odushote, to please step forward and give us his goodwill message.
Thank you. Mr. Governor, represented by my colleague, the Commissioner for Transportation, Dr. Fred Oladende, Royal Highness, Kabiyesi, may I have your permission to stand on existing protocols? Ladies and gentlemen, this is another step in a road to transition for Lagos State. Mr. Governor made it very clear that we're committed to improving the environment in Lagos. We had started to talk about what the causes of the pollutants are. We had identified transportation as a major cause of pollutants. So when I got the message that there was an interest in introducing electric buses into the Lagos transport mix, in addition to the electricity that's powering our trains, it was an easy call to make. Lagos State currently has about 130 MDAs. We all work together. Everything that's done in all the MDAs is discussed at Expo. So it was easy to call my colleague in transportation to say, here's an opportunity again to start to displace fossil fuels in the transportation mix. And they very quickly agreed to a meeting to start the discussion. And here we are today, taking the first step to changing transportation in Lagos. Many of you may know this, and some of you may not know that Lagos sits on less than 0.4% of Nigeria's landmass, and yet plays host to more than 12% of Nigerians. That will tell you that this is indeed a crowded city. It's also the smallest state in Nigeria, and yet it's the most populous. A lot of problems we have are due to the poor environment. Now, my colleague in transport tells me every time that most of the presentations to the hospitals are respiratory illnesses. So that means that they breathe in the foul air and then they go to the hospital to be treated. And guess who covers most of those payments? It's the Lagos State government. Because when you end up in the general hospital and you can't afford to pay it, nobody's going to arrest you. You will still leave anyway, and the state government will still cover the cost. So this is yet another step that we're taking as a government to ensure that we clean up the environment. And that's in addition to the other steps we're taking in the electricity sector, a lot of which you've heard about in the news in the past few months, and certainly in the past few weeks. And you will continue to hear about it. So again, thank my colleagues in transportation, did Lamata, for taking this next step to ensure that we're moving to a 21st century Lagos. Thank you.
Please, let's appreciate the Honorable Commissioner for Energy and Mineral Resources. You know that Oga is soft-spoken, but is very hardworking. Mr. Governor, sir, all other courtesies duly extended. Next, we'll take the second short documentary. If those at the control point are ready, let's have it.
Lately, world leaders have focused attention on climate change and how to mitigate its effects on our daily living. Lately, world leaders have focused attention on climate change and how to mitigate its effects on our daily living. Climate change describes global warming, the ongoing increase in global average temperature, and its effect on Earth's climate system. With climate change, temperatures are rising worldwide due to greenhouse gases trapping more heat in the atmosphere. Droughts are becoming longer and more extreme around the world. Tropical storms becoming more severe due to warmer ocean water temperatures. One of the significant causes is the use of fossil fuel, especially in transportation. Burning fossil fuel like gasoline and diesel releases carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas, into the atmosphere. Over 94% of the fuel used for transportation is petroleum-based, which includes primarily gasoline and diesel. In 2020, Lagos launched a 5-year climate action plan that prioritizes actions towards zero carbon development goals in sectors including transportation, agriculture, energy, and waste management. Lagos is the only state in Nigeria that has prepared and initiated the execution of a climate action plan. These plans outlined 26 efforts covering adaptation and mitigation actions to build a sustainable low-carbon economy in pursuit of achieving net zero carbon emission by 2050. In 2022, the Lagos State Government and Oando Clean Energy Limited signed a Memorandum of Understanding for the development of electric buses for use in public transport in Lagos State. The agreement covers areas of implementation including proof of concept, pilot, and development phases. The Honorable Commissioner for Transportation, Dr. Frederick Oladende, speaks on the government's initiative on the use of clean energy rolling stock in public transportation.
So what we have here is an initiative that ensures that we begin that process. And the buses have arrived, that the electric buses, we're doing the proof of concept. And it's important that we understand the data that come out of it, how do they compare with what we have on the ground, and then how can we fine-tune it to make sure that when we roll out fully, it's sustainable and it's cheaper for people to use. So the buses are on ground for the pilot, and we'll start the pilot very soon. Data collection will start, and then we begin to understand the dynamics, the infrastructure required to ensure that we sustain what we're implementing.
The Managing Director of Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority, Engineer Mrs. Abimbola Akiajo, underscores the need why Lamata is interested in the development of multi-fuels rolling stock for transit operation.
A year ago, we signed an MOU with Oando with the mindset that we would introduce electric buses, and also they would roll out charging infrastructure for it. Our policy in Lagos State is that we're transitioning from combustion engine into cleaner energy, and this is the work has started, or the position that we have taken has started. We will begin to put these buses into operation toward the end of May, and that will be a position whereby we can really test out all of the theoretical things that we have all done with regard to how more cost efficient electric buses are and how much more friendly they are from an environmental perspective, and how much less maintenance they require. All of that we will begin to see when we roll them out. And obviously the vision will be that we will continue after a time we will begin to increase the fleet of the electric buses. And the vision for Lamata, like we've always said, is to be a multi-fuel system in terms of public transportation where electric buses are an integral part.
The Managing Director of Lagos Bus Services Limited, Mr. Ido Oguntona, speaks from the perspective of an operator of public transport services and the salutary effect it would have on operations.
So this project is a very exciting one for LBSL as an operator, and one of the major concerns as an operator is the cost of operations. So today, our energy cost of operation is about 70% of our cost of operation. And with this intervention, it is expected that it will crash that cost to as low as maybe about 30%. And you can only imagine what that does in terms of the sustainability of the business model. Also aligning that with the energy transition goal of Nigeria in terms of achieving net zero carbon emission by 2060, I do believe that this is the right step in the right direction, and of course, trust Lagos State to take the lead in this kind of initiatives, along with the private sector, which is Oando Clean Energy, and Lamata being the principal sponsor of the project inside of Lagos government. So it's indeed a welcome development. Over the next 6 months thereabouts, we're going to be doing a team of concepts to gather data and basically analyze that data with what we currently experiencing in person time. So it's indeed a welcome development.
Mr. Ademola Ogunbanjo, Executive Vice President, Oando Clean Energy, highlights the role his organization would play in the procurement and operations of the electric buses for passenger operations.
As you can see, the buses are here, and they mark the beginning of a much larger program. What we're doing with these buses is to test the technology in our environment, see how they respond to our terrain, our temperature, humidity, traffic as well, and identify whatever kinks there may be, whether it's technology, operational, or even commercial, that we can then refine after the first few months of running this concept. Post that, we increase the fleet, move into the pilot phase where we bring in a whole lot more buses and also expand the bus routes so that we can serve more locations. But what we're doing as well is not only providing transportation for Lagos people, but joining the government's efforts in meeting Lagos State's commitment for being net zero by 2050, which is 10 years ahead of the federal government's target of net zero by 2060. And in Lagos State, we know that transportation contributes about 70% of our GHG emissions. So if we can bring the transport sector under control when it comes to carbon emissions, then it means that we will have won up to about 70% of our battle against carbon emissions and GHG. That said, however, these magnificent buses, yes, they excite me because it's clear that we're ready to go, but it also points to the fact that the work is about to start.
Thank you very much, Mr. Governor, sir. All other courtesies duly extended. At this point in time, with your kind permission, I am going to take a sneak preview into the resume of the personality I'm about to call. First and foremost, let me inform us that the gentleman is a proponent of transformational leadership with over half a decade and a half experience garnered in both the oil and gas and automotive industries. He leads with a focus in technical and commercial innovation with the goal of maintaining the long-term sustainable success of the business. Today, he is the President and Chief Executive Officer of Oando Clean Energy Limited, as well as the Chief Operating Officer of Oando Energy Resources, Africa's leading exploration and production company, and the upstream subsidiary of Oando PLC. Since he took over at the Oando Energy Resources, the man I'm about to introduce, who took on the role of the Chief Operating Officer in 2018, has successfully redefined the Oando Energy Resources business model, instituting and leading joint venture improvement initiatives, deploying solutions to mitigate production inefficiencies while significantly reducing costs, while also increasing production. In addition, he successfully secured over $1.5 billion in international financing for incremental production and in excess of $500 million in working capital financing. He has been very instrumental in workforce-based initiatives to promote a more diverse and inclusive environment, as well as positively shifting internal culture. Mr. Governor, sir, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please join me as I welcome the President and Chief Executive Officer of Oando Clean Energy Limited, Dr. Ainoji Alex Iruni, for his address.
Good afternoon, everybody. I think we have crossed over now. Or is it still morning? I believe it's... Yeah. When they read out your resume, you sort of look around the room and think that none of this could be achieved without the wonderful Oando people that are here present. I would like to ask your permission to stand on existing protocols. But just like my MD Lamata, I have to honor our royal father, Kabiesi. Mr. Governor, ably represented by Commissioner for Transport, who has shown immense leadership in everything that we're talking about and doing today. The MD Lamata, who took us under her wing to effectively say, whatever we imagine, we can create. And the reality is that if you do not have a state like Lagos State behind you, when you think about these blue sky dreams that you have, you are surely not to get very far. So I want to extend my appreciation to the team at Lagos State, LBSL, and Primero for the support and the engagements and the conversations to date. I also want to take this opportunity to recognize my directors at Oando PLC who are here present. Across the world, we're seeing the effect of carbon emissions, just as we have spoken about all morning. But the interesting thing is we Lagosians are particularly susceptible to the effects of climate change. we see sea levels expected to rise over 2 meters by the end of the century. If nothing is done, it is our collective responsibility to ensure that we minimize the effect of these rises. Every oil and gas company globally has seen a shift in the mindset. Our focus before was to explore fossil fuels, but now we see a low carbon future as part of our responsibility. And this is not just to support social programs alone. We have demonstrated that we are the only ones that have the balance sheet to effect this change and this shift to cleaner energy. We come to Lagos State, and why Lagos? Globally, transport contributes about 20 to 25% of greenhouse emissions. But here in Nigeria, we see 60%, almost 3 times. We don't have a choice. If we are to chase the national agenda of 2060 or the more aggressive agenda of Lagos State for 10 years before, then we must do something about the transport sector. I am extremely proud to announce our latest venture with Lamata and Lagos State. And I see this in 3 ways. The first is to revolutionize mobility in our country. The second is to tackle the GHG emissions that we talk about, the tailpipe emissions that we worry about and cause illness and sickness. But the part that really excites me is building local capacity for the renewable and clean energy ecosystem. Whilst today you see these buses and they have come from across the world, in the very near future they will be produced here in Nigeria. Whilst you see today, we probably have a handful of engineers today in Nigeria that can operate and maintain these buses. In the very near future, we would have multitudes of locally trained engineers who are capable of operating, maintaining, and servicing these vehicles and other renewable energy vehicles. We see these buses as a first step. Whilst we can talk about the technologies, Wi-Fi, reliability, low cost of maintenance, we really want to focus more on ensuring that this proof of concept we're about to embark on jointly is a success. Because what it does, it allows us collect the first set of data to support any kind of development of municipal transport or public transport on the continent using electric vehicles. This is our ambition, together with Lagos State, to set the future and chart the path for others to follow. Oando Clean Energy is committed to the success of this initiative. We haven't gone around the world to partner with just anybody. We have looked for the best in class. Our partners, Yutong, as you heard, are the leading bus manufacturers in the world. We believe that the potential to transform the transport sector is significant and to provide sustainable solutions for the country's growing population. We have seen this transition happen in other countries. We've seen Egypt, we've seen South Africa, Brazil, Malaysia, Thailand. All of these countries with similar ecosystems like ours, humidity, hot temperatures, have successfully deployed these technologies. We have worked tirelessly to get here, and we are confident that the steps we are taking, which, like I must reiterate, would not have been possible without the support of Lagos State, Lamata, LBSL, Primero, and His Excellency, the Governor, who saw the vision and imperative of charting a new way forward. In conclusion, we are excited. We're extremely excited about this. We're about to create history. We once again thank you all for being here, and we thank the government for their support as we look forward to the successful partnership that will benefit the people of Lagos and beyond. Thank you.
Let's appreciate the team player once again. Mr. Governor, sir, all other courtesies duly extended. With your kind permission, let me make some additional recognitions. We have some directors of Oando PLC here. First on the lineup, let me respectfully introduce a non-executive director, Oando PLC, Mr. Ademola Akinrele, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Thanks for coming. We also have here with us Mrs. Ronke Shokefun. She's also a non-executive director, Oando PLC. Thanks for coming. Let me also welcome Adeola Ogunshemi. She's executive director, Oando PLC, as well as the group chief financial officer. A round of applause for him. You're welcome, sir. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the high point of this program, which is the address of Mr. Governor. And as we are all very much aware, he's been ably represented here today by his Honorable Commissioner for Transportation. For those of us who might not be much aware, when Mr. Governor came into office for this tenure that is about to round up, he based his administration on a 6-point development agenda, which he termed the themes development agenda. The first pillar is traffic management and transportation. And it is under that vista that our program here today about powering mobility and empowering Lagos through Nigeria comes to stay. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let me now formally invite our governor, the man with a mandate that is about to round on that will commence on the 29th of May. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Dr. Frederick Oladende, who is wearing 2 caps here today.
Thank you. Please have your seat. Before I go through my protocol list, I think the last time I saw the buses, they were green. All of a sudden, they've been lamatarized into blue. So well done, Lamata, for keeping the standard and making sure that we have calmness in Lagos. The representative of the Chinese Council, thanks for coming. The Honorable Commissioner for Energy and Engineer Leary, my colleague, my brother, thank you. The Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Energy, Mrs. Shashore, and also the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Transportation, ably represented, Mr. Engineer Ujoro. The President, CEO of Oando Clean Energy, thank you very much. The Alak Egbaland, Oba Adedotun Aremu Michael Badebo, KBSU, thank you very much, sir. The Director of Lamata, my sister, my Egbo, Engineer Abimbola Akiajo, and her co-brother, the Managing Director, Lagos Bus Services Limited, Mr. Ogutano. Management of the Oando Clean Energy Company, let me specially recognize Mr. Demola Ogunbanjo. Okay. Ogunbanjo, thank you for coming and thanks for your your hard work. I think we met about 2 years ago, and we've been communicating ever since. So at this point, let me actually stand on the already established protocol. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This morning, we continue our journey aimed at protecting our environment and our people from the damaging effect of climate change on our dear state. As the United Nations Secretary General, Mr. Ban Ki-moon, said at the 21st Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Framework, I think popularly known as COP21, we are here today to write the script for a new future. Climate change refers to long-term shift in temperatures and weather patterns, and it's something that we've been experiencing in Lagos and in Nigeria recently. Such shift can be natural due to change in the sun activities or large volcanic eruptions or caused by human activities. Human activities have been the main drivers of climate change, primarily due to the burning of fossil fuel like coal, oil, and gas. The main greenhouse gases that are causing climate change, including carbon dioxide and methane, for example, the main greenhouse gas that are causing climate change include carbon dioxide and methane. For example, these come from using gasoline for driving a car or coal for heating a building. Leaders are constantly talking about ways to mitigate climate change and protect the environment and humanity in general. And that's why we're here today, to actually discuss some of the way forward. Mitigation involves reducing carbon dioxide gas emission and stopping the problems of climate change from growing. This means burning less fossil fuel, which includes coal, oil, and natural gas, and producing more renewable energy from technology such as wind, solar, and hydropower. Statistics show that over 94% of fuel used in transportation is petroleum-based, which includes primary gasoline and diesel. This situation has given rise to affirmative actions by world leaders and environmentalists to save our world. In 2020, the administration launched a 5-year climate change action plan to prioritize action towards zero carbon development goals in sectors which include transportation, agriculture, energy, and waste management. It is the second 5-year plan covering 2020 to 2025, which highlights evidence-based and inclusive climate action that would help create a more resilient Lagos for all. It is also instructive to note that Lagos is the only state in Nigeria that has prepared and initiated the execution of a climate action plan. The plan outlines 26 efforts covering adaptation and mitigation actions to build a sustainable low-carbon economy in the pursuit of achieving net zero carbon emission by 2050, 10 years ahead of the federal government's plan slated for 2060. Over the years, we have been involved in the use of cleaner energy in public transportation. To gather useful data on its use, we have deployed 10 CNG buses on the Lekki-Ekpe Expressway since 2022. We are also working with the Union of African Public Transport on a soot-free study and about to start a feasibility study with the Swiss government in the use of biofuel as an alternative fuel source for public transportation. We are currently partnering with the World Bank in the conduct of a Nigerian Sustainable Green e-mobility solution study to support Nigeria's potential future involvement with e-mobility in both the urban and rural context. Lagos is being used as the case study. So Lagos leads and then other follows. This research will aid in the creation of the country's strategy and regulatory framework for integrated e-mobility and conduct technical and financial studies for the introduction of electric public buses in Lagos State, presenting estimates of the cost for the deployment of several types of e-buses, and based on capacity power charging station from a financial, economic, and environmental perspective. The study will also compare the expenses of running buses powered by compressed natural gases. So what we're trying to do here is to run the CNG, and we will do the same for electric buses. We would look at the data, we will compare it to what is on ground, which is the diesel buses, try and understand the operational cost, the operational implication, the financial implication, the infrastructure required, and then with that data, we'll then begin to implement those infrastructure just to make sure that we develop something that is sustainable, something that we can maintain, and something that is peculiar to the nature of Lagos State. Amidst all these, we brought in Oando Clean Energy Limited on board following its proposal to partner with the state government in the deployment of electric buses for commercial passenger operation. In April 2022, the Lagos State government and Oando Clean Energy Limited signed a Memorandum of Understanding after months of talk for the deployment of electric buses for use in public transportation in Lagos State. The agreement covers areas of implementation including proof of concept, pilot, rollout phases. The MOU is specific on the role and responsibilities of parties in the agreement. A significant aspect of the MOU is the proof of concept phase, which we're launching today. Under the phase, Oando Clean Energy shall have obligations to purchase 2 electric buses, which we're seeing today, that they have done, and place them with bus operating companies with a view to achieving the following objectives: determine the effectiveness and efficiency of the deployment of electric buses for commercial use within metropolis, monitor effectiveness of charging systems powering deployed stations, confirm daily required electrical charging to operate the electrical buses for the mileage required during weekdays, weekends, peak, and off-peak period. At the end of the period, determine the financial viability of the buses in relation to its operating costs and profit margin. Train drivers on the driving, operation, and handling of electric buses. And finally, data review at the end of the phase. Under the pilot phase, during which 50 buses will be deployed over 6 months, we would consolidate on the findings in phase 1 before proceeding to the implementation phase, during which a minimum of 100 buses would be deployed. The Lagos State government, under our audacious governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, is poised to change the transportation narrative of Lagosians and make our state very competitive in the quantity of cities around the world. The state government has already scored a first in this area with the commissioning of the first phase of the Lagos Blue Rail, which is from Marina to Mile 2, and eventually it would end up in Okokomaiko. The bus line will be propelled by 100% by electricity which is 100% emission-free and environmentally friendly. Today, I launched the proof of concept phase of the deployment of the electric buses. I want to appeal to Lagosians to appreciate what the state government is doing to protect them by ensuring that they watch over the buses and report any attempt by those who may want to disrupt the smooth running of the buses to law enforcement agencies. The state government is ready to partner with the private sector to achieve our vision of a net zero carbon emissions city. Such intention of a partnership with the private sector births this initiative we are all together here to launch. We do hope that in another 7 years, we would have been able to meet the mobility needs of Lagosians. So the plan is to actually, run these buses, pinpoint some of the corridors that we would target and ensure that we understand the passenger demand. And then over 7 years, make sure that we roll out as many buses as possible for the entire Lagos state. Whether we like it or not, yes, we're building rail. Yes, we're developing our water transport system, but the bus mode will still be the dominant mode of transportation. When you look everywhere in the world, about 40% of public transport trips are catered for by public transport, about 25 to 30% by rail in advanced cities, and then water transportation, etc., will take the rest. But the bus industry would always form the backbone of any public transportation. It's a feeder to your rail, it's a feeder to your water transportation system, and so attention must be paid to the bus system just to make sure that not only is it clean, but it is robust. It's enough, it's affordable, and people find it attractive to use. So based on this other interventions already being carried out by MATA, it is evident that our transport authority is actively pursuing its vision to be a multi-fueled public transport regulatory organization. Ladies and gentlemen, Lagos State is leading. Let us come together, let us participate in ensuring that we transform the bus system in Lagos. Let's make it clean. It is your bus system. It belongs to Lagosians. Let us own it. So on this note, I'd like to congratulate the whole of Lagos State, and we look forward to a fruitful deliberation with Oando Group and other partners who want to join Lagos State in ensuring that we take our transport system to the next level. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and God bless you all.
Let us give Mr. Governor a resounding round of applause. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is about putting in place endless possibilities in Lagos. And from now on, it means residents will enjoy cleaner air and live longer. With your kind permission, sir, our time is fast spent. I will, with your kind permission, invite the Managing Director, Lagos Bus Services Limited, Mr. Idowu Oguntono, to step forward and move the vote of thanks, after which we'll proceed the tape to the new electronic vehicles before some of our VVIPs who bought the bus. The MD, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, ably represented by the Honorable Commissioner for Transportation, Dr. Frederick Oladinde. Honorable Commissioner, Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources, Engineer Olalere Odushote, His Royal Highness Aleki of Egbaland, Oba Adedotu Gbadebo, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Transport, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Energy, this Director, Engineer Abimbola, the Managing Director, Primero, Mr. Ford Tinubu, all heads of agencies here present, the CEO, Oando Clean Energy Limited, Dr. Aino, representative of the Chinese government, Yutong for West Africa, Mr. Frank Lee, all staff of Lamata, Oando Clean Energy, and Lagos Port Services Limited, all industry players, and invited guests. We are delighted to have had you join us today at this landmark event. It is a great honor and privilege to celebrate this significant milestone for the Lagos State government and the transport industry as a whole. On behalf of all stakeholders, we would like to extend a special thank to all the dedicated members of the team, instrumental in driving us forward and inspiring us to innovate. Their passion, expertise, and unwavering commitment to excellence have made achievement possible. Once again, I'd like to say a big thank you to all our guests for being a part of this momentous occasion. Together, we will shape a brighter tomorrow for the transportation industry and the communities that we serve. I wish you all safe journey to all your respective destinations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Governor, sir, all other courtesies duly extended. We are indeed privileged today to have in our midst a paramount ruler of Egba land, Kabiyesi, the Alake of Egba land. I will now respectfully take the microphone to Alailua to please give us what is like the closing prayers as a custodian and representative of our forefathers. Alailua, sir.
Your Excellency, the Governor of Lagos State, the 6th largest economy, the pace setter, you have set another pace. By the grace of God, you will continue to lead, others will follow. This project we have launched today, or we are about to launch, we shall never have cause to regret it. The partnership between the Lagos State government and Oando Clean Energy and the rest of Oando PLC will go from strength to strength. All those who have this in their minds to do, by the grace of God, you will do it and surpass this. All this we ask in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. La hawla wata illa billah. Thank you very much.
Kabiyesi, thank you, sir. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please, we will now proceed to cut the tape. Okay, for every one of us all, please, while the occupants of the front table, the VVIPs, make their way to cut the tape, we are advised to check underneath our seat for a gift from the organizers. For cutting the tape, we know we are all very, very important personalities, but we will restrict the number first to Mr. Governor, ably represented, his colleague in the Lagos State Executive Council, the Managing Director of Oando Clean Energy, Managing Director of Lamata, Managing Director of Primero, and Managing Director of Lagos Port Services, as well as Alailua, our Kabiyesi. They will go on now to cut the tape. After then, we'll have our group photograph order, which is being prepared. So may I now invite Mr. Governor, sir, to lead the way. the group photograph. We'll take it in batches. Batches. Please. Energy. This Mr. God and Honorable Commissioner for Energy and Mineral Resources, MD Lagos Bus Services, MD Primero, MD Lata,
Some say it's a mystic, it's electric. Boogie, woogie, woogie. You can't resist it. It's electric. Boogie, woogie, woogie. You can't do without it. It's electric. Boogie, woogie, woogie. Since the big Miss Molly, the little dolly, she's moving with electric short off the moon. You don't wanna lose it. It's electric. Boogie, woogie, woogie. You got to use it. It's electric. Boogie, woogie, woogie. Now you know it's there.
Who are you trying? Thank you very much.
can't hold it. It's electric, but you know it's there. Here, there, and everywhere. I've got to move. I'm going on a party ride. I've got to groove, groove, groove.
In a short while, we'll have a bus ride with some of our VVIPs boarding the bus to have a first-hand experience.
You can't see it. It's electric. You got to feel it. It's electric. Ah, it's shocking. It's electric. Big Miss Kelly with electric. Belly moving with electric. Short after movie. You got to know it. It's electric. You can't hold it. It's electric. But you know it's there. Here, there, and everywhere. I've got to move. I'm going on a party ride. I've got to groove, groove, groove. And from this music I just can't hide. Are you coming with me? Let me take you on a party ride. And I'll teach you, teach you, teach you. I'll teach you the electric slide. Some say it's a mystic, it's electric. Boogie, woogie, woogie. You can't resist it, it's electric. Boogie, woogie, woogie. You can't do without it, it's electric. Boogie, woogie, woogie. Says the big Miss Molly, she's feeling jolly, she's moving with electric. She's short off the movie. You don't wanna lose it, it's electric. Boogie, woogie, woogie. You got to use it, it's electric. Boogie, woogie, woogie. Now you know it's there. Here, there, and everywhere. teach you, teach you, teach you. I'll teach you the electric slide. Woogie, woogie, woogie. You can't see it, it's electric. Woogie, woogie, woogie. You got to feel it, it's electric. Woogie, woogie, woogie.
Madam, how are you? Welcome, ma'am.